Look at this. This is the first garlic bulb I've ever harvested. There are some definite benefits to overwintering your vegetables, or at the very least, starting your vegetables indoors if you can. And I'm going to show you some of those today. If you followed our channel this winter, you know that we have tried our best to grow as many vegetables as possible all year long as a part of our Grow 365 challenge. Our challenge to produce and provide ourselves with our own fresh, organic produce every single day of the year. That pursuit not only allowed us to grow a whole bunch of vegetables to eat during the winter, it also enabled us to set aside a space to start some seedlings and to begin growing plants that we would later transition outdoors. And today I'm going to show you a couple of those plants and where they are, because there are a few in here that are most definitely ready to be harvested. So let's take a look at some of the vegetables that we started indoors, transitioned outdoors, and also let's take a look at a surprise harvest that we had from a vegetable that overwintered and surprised us with, well, wait and see. Just look at the size of that kohlrabi. All right, I'm going to admit something. This one is not an example of what we're harvesting today. But maybe, you know, restaurants are always looking for those high quality organic vegetables like their mini carrots or mini asparagus. Maybe they'll come calling and say they'd like to have some of these for their restaurant. Put it on the menu. Here's my hand behind one of the other ones that we started indoors. This is the giant white kohlrabi. And this is actually right beside it is one that we're going to take this one out of here. We're going to harvest this one. This one could be considered almost full size if that's the size you want to harvest. I mean, this is probably 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter, but this one is a giant. This is a wonderful example of a kohlrabi that we started indoors, grew it in there for a month and a half plus, and once we transitioned it out here, it just took off. The leaves are delicious and can be cooked just like you would collard greens or broccoli leaves. And then the flesh of the kohlrabi inside this, once we peel this back, this is outstanding. It's great raw, it's great made in the oven, roasted. Oh, that's my favorite way. Now I'm going to cut this off right down here. So I'm going to have to use a knife and really get in here. All right, I cut through this. It really looks like I cut through a tree trunk basically. But take a look at this harvest of one. I mean, this is bigger than my hand. All right, we've got our handy dandy scale, and there's a link to that scale in the description if you're interested in using one like this. And I've got it teared out with our paper bag. There we go. So let's go ahead and weigh. All right, here we go. Now the cool thing about this variety of kohlrabi is it is supposed to be good even at this size. It's not supposed to turn woody. So let's see what we got. 53.9 ounces or 1.52 kilograms or 3.37 pounds from one kohlrabi. That's unbelievable. Now that's not the only kohlrabi that we brought from indoors. This is another one right here, and there are a couple more this size. This has got to be at least a 2-pounder. And I'm going to harvest this one as well because we've got a second kohlrabi here, and I want to give it the opportunity to bulk up just like this one. And while I'm doing that, I can show you that we've got other kohlrabi in here. Again, these are really nice size, but even though they last a long time, whenever they've been harvested, if you keep them in the fridge, they do last a long time. I think most of our brassicas are that way. We don't want to harvest too many of them because we don't want any to go to waste. We can just leave these on a little bit longer. The other thing that we have out here right now, this is our broccoli, and the broccoli has been doing well. I mean, it's got plenty of greens on it, but the one thing it doesn't have on it yet are any broccoli heads. All right, I got this one harvested as well, and you know, it's not quite as big as the other one. It's only 2.88 pounds. So we've got 6 pounds plus of kohlrabi from just 2 of these. What a great way to start the day. I mean, growing these inside has made a huge difference in timeliness. All right, this is our 6+ pounds, but I thought I'd give you a little side-by-side size comparison just so you can see. A little mini kohlrabi and then our massive kohlrabi. Now this container we've been growing in since we went to the dollar store, Dollar Tree, and got a few of these for $1, and we planted a whole variety in here, and we've been harvesting greens off of here for the entire winter. So we've got beet greens in here, we've got kohlrabi, we've got a number of things in here. And so our kohlrabi here, actually off to the side, is probably big enough to harvest, but I'm going to hold off on harvesting this one, even though it's probably 1.5 pounds or so. And I'm holding off on harvesting that one because we just harvested, as you saw, a whole bunch of kohlrabi from those two. So we don't want to rush anything. Again, we're trying to feed ourselves 365 days a year, not waste food. But over here, I'm going to pull up one of these kyogia beets right here. I'm going to harvest this one gently so you can see what this looks like. It's died back. The leaves themselves have died back, but this is a nice firm beet. You can see the red color here, but that's not the exciting part for this beet. I'll show you what I think the really cool part about this beet is, because I'm going to cut this open. But remember, beets are super healthy for you. They're great for your blood pressure. The greens are fantastic. Just all around, this is a great vegetable. But let's take a look at what the inside of this beet looks like. The inside has that mixture of the white and the red. It's almost like various striation patterns here. Super cool looking inside. And oh, the smell of the beet. I absolutely love that earthy smell. What I'm gonna do, you know, a lot of people don't know this about beets, I think, but you can eat beets raw. You don't have to actually cook them if you like them that way. Now this one's got a little bit of dirt on it from the root, so I'm gonna wash that off and then I'm gonna give it a go. All right, we got it washed off. So sweet. Oh, that's so good. Now here we have the tail of 3 cabbage plants, even though there are only 2 cabbage plants here right now, because the first one is one that actually went to seed. Now these are 2nd year cabbages. We planted them a little bit late last year and they didn't go to create these heads of cabbage. They instead seemed to die off, but we left them out. We didn't pull the plants up over the winter time, and this is a really nice head right here, and each of these plants is now forming multiple heads of cabbage. And as typically is the case, the other heads other than the main one aren't all that big. In fact, this one hasn't really formed that much at all. But it is really surprising, I think, that we got these heads of cabbage anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these up out of the ground. I'm excited for the fact that we're getting some of these anyway, especially since we're in zone 5 and our winters here are very cold. Now, one of our speculations about these surviving is that we had a lot of snow this past winter and it stayed on the ground for a very long time. So there might have been some added insulation. Now, one of the things I've heard, but I've never tried, is that you could cut the head off of a cabbage and then it could grow another one. I don't know if any of you have heard that or tried that before, but let us know in the comments. I'm just going to harvest this one completely by pulling it straight up out of the ground. And there we have a 1, 2, 3. Well, technically, this one actually has a 4th head. And one of the awesome things about cabbage, we've had it in the fridge for over a month and it's just as fresh and crisp as the day we harvested it. And this one, well, this one has 2 nice size heads on there. So 2 nice size heads from this one, and we got 3, we'll call it 3.5 from the other one. So from 2 plants we have 5 heads of cabbage. And what we're gonna do with this, I think for the first time ever, we're gonna make some sauerkraut. Now, we haven't done that before, so if you have an easy sauerkraut recipe, we would love to know what it is in the comments. Now, when I talk about multiple heads coming from one plant, you can see actually last year where that growth died off and then these 3 sprouted from it. So that's how we have those multiple heads, and I've cleaned them up just a little bit. And in the process of cleaning them up, I found something on the other plant. Now, this is our plant with 4 heads, and you can see I pulled off some of those leaves, and right down in here, if you look closely, you can see some of this green frass. So this is caterpillar waste. And you can see the culprit right here. If anybody knows what this is going to turn into, and we know what it's going to turn into, but let us know in the comments, because I'm sure you've seen the damage that they've done to your cabbage in the past if you've ever grown cabbage. So these are the culprits that are laying this all the way in here, and that's one reason why it's a really good idea, even if you're growing organically, to wash off everything that you're growing to get rid of all this waste. All right, the last thing I'm going to show you that overwintered is something that we intentionally overwintered outside and for the first time ever are growing, and that is our garlic. Now I'm going to harvest just one of these. It's actually growing among some tomatoes. We planted tomatoes to take up the rest of the space here because we knew that shouldn't disturb the roots. So I'll show you what that looks like, but we will have a full video on our garlic harvest coming up soon. It's taken some real digging to get down here to the bottom of this garlic, and I can smell the garlic as I've been working through here. But look at this. This is the first garlic bulb I've ever harvested. This is our first one. Oh my, look at that. Oh, I cannot wait to harvest the rest of these. You should smell what I'm smelling right now. Oh, this is amazing. This is huge. Perfect. This is an example of why some things need to be overwintered, and they will pay off majorly. Oh, that is outstanding. Fresh garlic, first time ever growing, and we have quite a bit more in here from what we planted last year. Whether it's our first garlic, a surprise cabbage harvest, or these massive kohlrabi, starting early, overwintering, they have their intended benefits, and we're just so happy to have this food now as the rest of our garden continues to grow and develop, and as we head into the season where we're going to be having almost daily harvests. Well, we hope you give the idea of overwintering or starting earlier some consideration based on these results, and if you've had good experiences, we'd love to hear them from you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.